and with school safety. First thing I'm gonna tell you for sure, and it's a sad thing to say and it's a hard thing to say, but I know it, is that it's gonna happen again. The question is when, the question is where. But the question we really need to ask ourselves every single day, I do, is what are we doing differently today to drive a different outcome than what happened at Stoneman Douglas High School on February 14th of 2018? Because we know that adage, if you do what you've always done, you're gonna get what you always got. And if you do it the same way, don't expect a different outcome. If you're not willing to change, don't expect a different outcome. And if you're not willing to view this through a lens of not what you want, not what you like, not the way you think it should be in a perfect world that doesn't exist, but what is realistically doable, what is realistically obtainable, and ultimately, what can you live with, then you're not going to move the needle. And I can tell you from somebody that has been in Building 12 at Stoneman Douglas High School way too many times, it's still an active crime scene. And seeing the kids' blood that's still sitting on the floor, seeing the work that they were working on that's still sitting on the desks where they were killed. Literally seeing the shoes sitting on the floor they jumped out of as they were running out of that building. I can't live with that kids. And we have to do it differently. And the resistance to change and the resistance to doing it differently is mind-boggling, and it is sad, and it is causing us not to move fast enough to improve school safety in the state of Florida. Because the notion that it happens someplace else, it happens to other people in other communities, and it doesn't happen here is just wrong. That's part of the problem they had in Broward County. Part of the problem we still have here to a degree with some people. The city of Parkland, which is a residential community in northwest Broward County, 2 days before the shooting was named by the Chamber of Commerce, was named the safest city in the state of Florida. And people thought this was going to happen in Parkland. So think about this, and I'll close with this, is that we today are 20 years, think about that, 20 years post-Columbine. Columbine happened 20 years ago. Sandy Hook happened 7 years ago. How are we sitting here on February 14th, 2018, in Broward County, Florida, in the Broward County School District, which is the second largest school district in the state of Florida, about the sixth largest in the country, and at that time, did not have and never had, listen to me on that, did not have and never had an active shooter response policy for the school district. Didn't have it. In the 1 year preceding the shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, and that's a big high school with 3,300 students and 200 staff, never once in the year preceding the shooting did they ever do an active shooter drill. Didn't do it. Never did any training for the students on how to respond to an active shooter. How can that be 20 years after Columbine? How can that be 7 years after Sandy Hook? I can tell you how it can be, because it's complacency. And early on, as we were getting into this and was talking to school administrators and talking to teachers and talking to staff, what we continually got was, we're here to teach. Our job is to teach. I get that, but it's a changed world. It's a changed environment. Attitudes have to change. Culture has to change. And when I say to them, I'll tell you, and again, it's harsh, I understand. Your job may be to teach, but you can't teach dead kids. And you need to accept the reality that you have to provide a safe environment first and foremost. That if you don't have a safe environment, go walk in that building. Look at the blood on the floor. Look at those kids. I've watched the video of the shooting. It's not pretty. So the reality is we got to do it differently. And we have to be willing to look at it through the lens of what can you live with? Not what you want, not what you like, but what can you live with? And none of us could or should be willing to live with what happened at Stoneman Douglas High School, and we don't want that here or anyplace else. So we really need to continue the path we're on, and we still have room to improve.